Hey, I tell you what I'm gonna give you, Snakes. I'm gonna give you to the count of 10 to get your ugly, yellow, no good keister off my property before I pump your guts full of lead. Get it, don't be timid when you ain't apply that. Love a phone, get along, leave it. I don't want no trip, baby, spread like
My name is Ashley, and this is My Sweet Perspective, where I give my take on all things TV and movie related, and I am here to put you on, okay? So yeah, y'all, that's how Euphoria ends. A man letting his clip glow in a strip club to avenge our girl Rue. Let's back up all the way, and I'll show you how we got here. Hey, sweet peas, this is it. This is the Euphoria series finale. Season 3, Episode 8, In God We Trust. 93 minutes. 3 minutes. The longest episode HBO has ever aired. And Sam Levinson using every single one of them 93 minutes to tie off a season that, to let's be honest, stopped being about these kids a very long time ago. Because who are we kidding? This was spaghetti western. This was, what do you call it, neo-Western drama, all of that. But it was really not about these kids from Euphoria High. Because that's where season 3 actually turned into a full-on Western. A dusty, violent spaghetti western. And the finale doubled down. It kills Rue before the halfway mark and hands the whole back half to a revenge plot. If you were in those Western streets, you caught it frame 1. The lasso, the horses, the dragging of Rue by that white man, the symbolism of it all, the Django of it all, if you will, the standoff at the OK Corral. This was a fistful of dollars. This was the good, bad, and the ugly. This was Django. This was Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Girls, dope, pistols, and all. And I'll give it this. Some of the shots were beautiful, were gorgeous. Like I said, I will never take that away from Sam Levinson. I think he has the ability to knit a yarn, to tell a beautiful cinematic story when he so chooses. But alas for me, y'all, I felt such a disconnect and I didn't want to. You can't shoot a girl's tragic life and death and wrap it up like a cowboy legend and still expect me to grieve her like the daughter, the girl, the innocent, the Rue we met season 1. That's the whole problem with the finale, in my opinion. But we're going to get all the way into it. We pick up right where episode 7 left us. Rue is in the middle of taking on Lori Nim. Faye has just screamed bloody murder, trying to wake up Wayne. And Rue does something that I never thought she would do. She actually fights back. She gives Faye a good old 1-2. She gets some sort of tool, lug wrench, whatever, and she beats the heck out of Wayne's leg. And she's on a run. So we immediately have a chase. She grabs the trash bag because I got to get this to Alamo. Damn the trafficking, damn the girls, damn all that of it. Let me run. Wayne is limping behind her with the shotty, trying to take her out. She escapes by the skin of her teeth narrowly. And as we're going, I believe his name is Harley, hops on a horse with a lasso that looks, anyway, we know what Sam was doing with the blacks over here. But we're running down the street. He actually gets her, is dragging her back by horse. And we see Marshawn, honey, come with the blicky and take him out. Rue runs for her life and she lives to fight another day. Or does she? We get back to Alamo. He's well pleased because you did what a million people couldn't, Rue. You got me back these girls' IDs so I can traffic them in peace. But Rue, here, you look bad, baby. Have a drink, sit down. At this point, we already know, Alamo knows because Maddie opened her fat, raggedy mouth. And so we know that Rue's time is limited. I don't think that was a surprise to any of us who have been watching since day one. Some people thought Rue was dead this entire time, which honestly would have made sense with the absurdity of this season. But alas, she's yet been alive this whole entire time. He says, listen, girl, I'm going to take this. I'll take one too. The sets, I got them for my back. I had a back injury, but you take this prescription. All right, Rue. Don't take them all though, because I need you back here, girl. With a smile on his face, sends Rue home. And I'm thinking, Rue's not going to take them. Rue's not going to take them pills. She's proud. She's lived to fight another day. We got the DEA off our back. We got Alamo off our back. Like I said, the trafficking of the girls be fully damned. But, we're going to see. This was an absolute setup, and I felt it instantly because whether or not she was going to relapse, that was a question. We've seen Rue, I think, the most sober that we've ever seen her throughout this season. And so I think it was always a question of will she relapse? Won't she relapse? We saw her using drugs socially earlier in the season, but we really hadn't seen her in the dregs of it. She's been very coherent most of the time. She's been building this relationship with God, all to see it sit in the way that it ultimately did. The walls are coming down on everybody else. Of course, we know that Alamo had the whole thing planned. It was a bait and switch. The dope was not in those ambulances that Dwayne Wayne was driving. The DE shows up because they're going to get the ambulance and they're going to raid Lori's compound. The whole operation. Most of the crew has to, voluntarily be taken in. Lori said, I'm not going. I can't go back. She said, I can't go to jail. Next thing I see, she's doing a swan dive off the roof. And my thing is, sister, y'all did all of this and didn't have to. It just spoke to the cowardice of these, racists the entire time. Again, if you're going to do the crime, you have to be prepared. Meanwhile, Faye and Wayne hear everything that's going on. She tips him off like, hey, I think this might be a setup. The dope they gave us was just laxatives. I tried to tell you before. And they run off into the sunset like Bonnie and Clyde horseback, hitching rides and robbing people on the way. At this point, Faye gets what she gets and she better not throw a fit. I have nothing to give to Faye. Nothing at all. But again, all cowards. Every last one of them folded when it all counted. As far as Dwayne Wayne and the man in the ambulance, there was nothing in there to get them caught up except for Kitty's ass. That's diabolical, by the way. That ass is diabolical, by the way. But we just had the girls in there. No dope to be found because Alamo has the dope. So now he's richer. He's able to traffic his girls. Everything's turning up roses for Alamo, or so we think very early on in the episode. Now we get to the last good day. Rue, Ali, and the end. Now, the reason we're really here, Rue goes to Ali's. And that detail matters because by this point, her last conversations with both Lexi and Jules were problematic. We saw Jules slap fire from her. And we saw Lexi say that she was delusional and crazy and actually aid in the demise of Rue. Now, what I won't do is lay this all at the feet of Lexi because Rue was already, we were setting her up from the beginning to die is what it feels like, honestly. From the beginning of the show up until this point, it was long and it was drawn out and we had hope. If you've known anybody who struggled with addiction, you always have hope that there's another side of it, that they can come out of it. But I think the way this season foreshadowed all of this, we knew, like, without major plot armor, the promise of a fourth season, we all kind of knew Rue wasn't going to make it out of here. But the fact that these last two relations were her, just interactions with her best friends were this way, and even their behavior afterwards was just beyond, but we'll get to that. And so Ali is her only safe place that she has left at this point. And they crash, they're hanging out, they're talking, she's found this idea of God, and we've seen that her evolution with that slowly but surely throughout the season. Like, what is this? I don't understand it, but I'm figuring it out. God met me. She encountered him. And I think when we were at the Joshua tree, I knew at that moment that Rue wasn't making it out of this season. But they go to bed. And, at this moment, Rue wakes up. She's like, Fez is on the news. We see this news clip of, Fez has escaped from prison using parkour. And she's like, oh my gosh, Ali, I gotta go because Fez got out and he said he was going to use parkour and that I would come pick him up. I promised him that I would come pick him up. And so now we see Rue traversing the same route that she did in season 2 when she ran from her mom, when Rue was really good and strung out. And I'm thinking immediately, I'm like, damn, Rue's already dead. Rue's been dead is what I was thinking as we were watching this in the collective Discord. I was like, yeah, she's been gone. because there's no way we're going the exact same path that we went before. Then when we go to her childhood home and we see her mom at the table, I was like, yeah, she's it. This is gone. Now, I didn't necessarily know it was going to be in the form of an overdose in this moment, but it makes sense. And honestly, this should have hit so hard for me. Going back to the streets that she's walked in season 1 and season 2, we at one point see her and Fez in the field, holding one another, and you know should have felt it. And I don't know. And like I said, the people who've been watching since day one, you guys have had years with Rue. I've had 2 months with her. I binge watched season 1 and season 2 in preparation for the current season. And it just felt so disconnected to me. So by the time Ali is waking her up and we see this vision of Rue reaching out for what looks like help as she's overdosing on these Fenty laced pills that Alamo gave her, I just sat with it. Like, I don't know. And I'm a couple days removed. I didn't come out yesterday immediately with the review because I did want to sit with it for a moment. Because this is Rue. This is our girl, for better or for worse. And there have been moments in both season 1 and season 2 that I cried real tears for Rue. And I had to sit with, why couldn't I feel it? And I honestly think it was because of how wild the missions were this season, that I think I was anticipating it from the very beginning. So when it hit, it just didn't have the same impact that I thought it would. Now, what I will say is that Ali, for me, shout out to Coleman Domingo, really delivered in this final episode, and probably one of the standouts, not only with his recitation at his final NA meeting and then his revenge tour later, but I feel like for everyone in Rue's life who would really turn their backs on her, he was always there. He was her true north. And I feel like in her death, she finally had a father again and ultimately is reunited, with hers, hopefully. But it was kind of special to see someone still care so deeply. I think that Sam did such a disservice to the story by not letting us have Rue's mom as a part of this process. Even the call Ali makes to the mom, we don't hear her. And I think that would have resonated so deeply, not just because Rue is a biracial with a black mama, saying that Rue didn't need space, that there didn't need to be boundaries. We had that final conversation with mom. Mom had called while Rue was in the church. And so I just think that to actually hear the words that would have spoken, maybe to hear some of Rue's mom's grief around it would have been special. But again, this whole entire season was something different. Anyway, like I said, Ali calls the mom and delivers the news, and he tests the drugs that Rue had and she had taken, and he immediately saw that these were Fenty laced. So there's something that I need to do with that. And then we go and we have the actual AA meeting where he's like, basically, I've lost the faith. By the end, baby, he's drinking, he's got on his dress blues, and he's ready to blow ish up. And I'm not mad. But we sit and we talk about a meeting about the culture around addiction and how people are treated, and how I've tried to work the program all this time, but to no avail. So this is my last time doing this. I'm tired of pouring my heart into kids who never get a second chance. And I think that's an indictment on society in general and those that struggle with addiction, because there has to be a place for people who are bound by addiction, because this world is what created it. Like, it just seems like there should be a balance. And unfortunately, not. But like I said, he says this is his last NA meeting and he's out of here. He's going to go. And actually, he turns into an Avenger at this point. He puts on his old military uniform, honey. He goes to the Silvery Slipper. He said, lock them doors with the chain. He gets in there with his sawed off. And I said, oh, it's about to go down. Where's the manager? Where's the boss? Where's your people? Where's Alamo? Because I'm here to settle business. The hoes trying to come over. Ali's not worried about no hoes. I'm here for a retribution mission. Now, this is kind of when the happenings start happening. We're already at the end of the episode by now at this point. And so this is the shootout at OK Corral that I have been waiting for all season. We knew it was going to result in this ultimately. And so we get here, we're asking for the manager. Marshawn comes over. Ali has to call him at Blicky Point. But before that, we see Maddie has gone to Cassie's to collect the money for Alamo because I'm still delivering. And we have a moment, of course, with Cassie and Lexi kind of talking about things. And I'll get back to that after I finish Alamo. And so anyway, we're here. We're asking for Marshawn, hey, get Alamo. Maddie's in the back with him. And Maddie and Alamo have a conversation around the future and how he can see this life with Maddie just moments before he yeets her through the window. Now, Maddie's sitting over here with this indebtedness to Alamo is everything that she deserves. I don't see redemption for Maddie at this point. I really thought that her arc was going to be the best this season. I really enjoyed seeing her get it out of the mud, open up entrepreneurially, but I knew the connection with Alamo and seeing where the girls were at. And depending on that, what move she made would really determine how I felt about her throughout the rest of the season. And she failed me, every single bit of it. Also, don't like this ship between her and Bishop. Because did you do that for Rue in the end? Or did you do that for Maddie? I don't know. You guys drop it down in the comments and let me know. And, Alamo comes out like, what do you want with me? He's like, I'm here to see about Rue. Well, Rue's not here. Well, what happened to Rue? You know what happened to Rue, and I'm about to settle it in blood. And so we're going to handle this like gentlemen, or we can get into some gangsta stuff. Ultimately, it was the latter. And so we get out there. Ali's ready. He's got his blicky. Bishop arms damn Alamo. And I'm thinking, Bishop, we went this whole time and you're just going to be here and you're going to be useless. Such an interesting character. And you just turned out to be completely useless. But alas, he did not. So we get it. We're gunslinging. We find out that, Alamo's not going to play fair. He doesn't. We get Kitty and her raggedy booty to roll a champagne bottle, which crass. Really? Bring me the champagne bottle. Is there champagne left? Really? After we saw what happened with Kitty and the champagne earlier in the season. I just want to say, Sam, you're low for that. We finds out he has no bullets in his blicky. Immediately, Ali blows him away. Keep the change, you filthy animal. And he does it multiple times just for good measure. At that point, Bishop drops all the bullets out of the revolver onto the ground and say, may God have mercy. Listen, because the dishes are done, man. And I was ultimately here for it. But again, before all this even happened, interesting to say, Alamo yeeted Maddie through the glass window. And did she deserve it? Absolutely. I have nothing for Maddie. I have nothing for Cassie. I have nothing for Lexi. I have nothing for these hoes because, again, like I said before, Lexi and Cassie are at the house. They're at their shared home, Nate's home. And she's like, this is too expensive. We're going to sell this house. We're, making a plan. Lexi asks, where's Nate? So in this moment, we know we haven't even addressed Nate's death properly. He's just missing. We'll never talk about it. All the while, Cassie's holding that in. Her business is thriving. She's got a safe full of money that she's able to give to Maddie to take to Alamo. And Lexi is talking about this Bible that Rue left. Now, you can tell that a little bit of time has passed, but not so much to where you wouldn't be grieving one of your best friends. And I don't care 5 years removed or not. If Rue, someone you grew up with, if you find out that they passed, would you not feel away? And I know Rue has taken us down through there before, but the way that it just seems so callous to me. And then we get Lexi, she left her Bible and I can't throw it away. I have to keep it and all of those things. I wanted to see visceral emotion on some of these girls' faces or in their hearts or feel it. And I didn't, which again, I feel like is just so, I don't know, it was so vacant. I don't know if that's commentary on what addiction does to relationships and their inability to grieve. I'm not even giving Sam the benefit of the doubt with it because I just really don't know. But, they have a conversation. Lexi gives this whacked out interpretation of the Bible and that, everybody dies, but you got to keep going. I'm like, baby, the Bible is about life. If it's not about anything else, it's about life. It's about eternal life. Anyway, ultimately, again, in God they trust. Cassie is just, Rue had a great smile. And then we go over to Jules, where she does this painting. It's been the most coherent painting she's done all season. But really, girl, she's the only one that kind of shed any kind of tear or had any sort of emotion. But it fell flat as well, because then you have Ellis, aka Sam, roll up like he's ready to get it in again. Like, this was supposed to be your best friend. The last words you said to her were "get the F out." And this is how I don't get time to sit with any of the friends of the original Euphoria and their emotions, in their grief, in their pain, nothing. And I fear that's why it felt so shallow to me. Now, ultimately, we end up in Rue's promised land. At least Ali does. We go and we find those white Christians, honey, back on the homestead, and they welcome him in. And he says, you met my daughter. My name is Martin. And if you remember the special episode between seasons 2 and 3, Ali says that Ali was his spiritual name. When he converted, he took that name, but his given name was Martin. And he goes in there and he says a prayer. And at the end of the prayer, we see Rue at the other end of the table, as if she is, well pleased with all of that. This was Rue's promised land, and he's there. The things I guess I can relish in is that I do believe that Rue found a piece of God before passing. I believe that at least from Ali, Rue felt love. I know she had to have felt love for her mother, but in the end, it did seem as though she was so optimistic. I do think it speaks to a reality in terms of addiction, because Rue having been clean, but then been giving this bottle that, will I? And Alamo almost relying on the fact that Rue was going to take it. So while she was poisoned, this was also a relapse for Rue. Overall, a Sweet Pea rating, I'm giving it like a 2.5 to 3 out of 5 Sweet Peas on the scale. The Ali, especially at the end, it did touch me some. But again, I feel like the legend of Rue was lost in this Western. But you guys let me know what worked for you. What worked for you? Again, it sits right there squarely on the shoulders of Ali. I think that's what I was most locked into after the reveal of it all. But you guys drop it in the comments and let me know, what is your Sweet Pea rating of this episode. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of those things. And I will see y'all in the next video. And I'll see you in the live discussion where myself and Struggle Reviews will discuss the finale in greater detail. But thank you guys for coming through. And thanks for watching with us this entire season, as I kind of reluctantly watched and reviewed it. But thank you for being here. And I will see y'all in the next video.